they're coming in. Hi folks, welcome. We got people still joining, so I'm going to be giving out some housekeeping information pretty soon. I'm Pat Watson. I'm the room host. If you have any tech issues or non-tech issues, the email address is for those to support people been posted into the chat window. If you have any questions for the presenters, type those into the chat window and I will read them out to them later on in the presentation. And at the end of the presentation, I'll be announcing the keyword for the meeting, which is required for you to receive credit. Candi, I don't know how many attendees you were supposed to have in this meeting right off the bat, but you've got 38 in there right now.
All right, good.
Okay, up to 41. How long do you want to wait before you start?
Give me 2 more minutes.
Okay.
Change my share.
Folks, one more thing. I pasted this into the chat, but I'll go ahead and tell you guys as well here. You don't have audio or video capabilities coming toward the presenters in this meeting. It's basically a webinar. But as long as you all can see and hear them, we're good to go. But if you can't have any glitches or any issues whatsoever, just email one of those 2 addresses that I pasted into the chat. And again, just ask any questions that you have for the presenters in chat, and I will give those to them, read them out to them later in the presentation. You're up to 45, Candi. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Okay, take it away.
All right, so good afternoon. We are very excited to have 45 participants in our session. So thank you guys very much for spending your afternoon with us for a little bit. We are going to talk about a subject that is very near and dear to our hearts, mentoring ready graduates. We are from Milan Special School District in Milan, Tennessee. It is not Milan, like you might expect. It's Milan because we like to southern everything up as much as possible. I'm the CT director for Milan Special School District, and I have with me Miss Jennifer Riley, who is our TCAP manufacturing instructor and our career exploration instructor, and then also Miss Amy Watson, who's our health science instructor, and you will hear from them here in a little bit throughout our presentation. So first of all, let me tell you a little bit about Milan Special School District. There it is on the map. We're just a little bit north of Jackson. The entire school system is a very, very small little district. We have 2,000 plus students That's K through 12. And I know that a lot of you have maybe high schools that have that many students in it. And so we're very grateful to have a small school system. We have one elementary school, one middle school, and one high school. So when we work on career exploration type projects, it's very easy. We can hit all of our feeder schools very easy. They're right down the road. So Gibson County is very interesting in that we have 5 special school districts in the Gibson County area, which you may think that our county is ginormous to have that many school districts. It is not. That's just the way it shakes out. So we have 5 small school systems. And inside Milan High School, we have 12 programs of study. So we know that being a small high school, that is a lot of programs of study. But what we want to be able to do is make sure that we offer the programs that our students want. All of our programs of study are aligned to labor force data. Because we want our kids to wind up in careers that make, so they don't have to move away. They don't have to go somewhere else in order to work in these careers. We are partners with TCAT Jackson. When I introduced Jennifer earlier, while Jennifer works physically in our building every single day, she's actually an employee of TCAT Jackson. And so we're grateful to be able to have 2 TCAT instructors on our campus. If you would like to know how that works, if you will just email me later, I've got my contact information in this presentation that you can download in the file document, and I'll let you know how that works and also get you in touch with TCAT people if need be. So we have 2 on-site programs here from TCAT Manufacturing, and we run it under machining technology. And then the other one is electromechanical technology, which the name hopefully will be changed very soon to industrial maintenance. That's going before the Tennessee School Board very soon. I don't know if you knew that, but I'm very excited about that. We also have on-site dual enrollment courses in agriculture because we are lucky enough that our ag teacher is an adjunct instructor for Jackson State Community College. So those things are probably fairly similar to what some of you have. What we came about with this in the last couple of years is talking about this definition of ready graduates. And so you've heard this for the last several years. You know the characteristics of a ready graduate. The question that we had as a district was how many people that are in the school system really understand the definition of ready graduates and what that means. So in CTE, we've hit it pretty hard, especially around EPSOs and industry certification and even ASVAB. But when you think about maybe the core subjects, do the English teachers know about the definition of ready grads? Do math teachers know? My goodness, do the middle school teachers know about the definition of ready grads? And what we were finding was the answer was largely outside of the school counselors, no. Don't really understand the importance of it. And why would you? If it's not part of your day-to-day job, if it's not something that you actively support, maybe you don't teach a dual enrollment English, so you have no reason to understand why an EPSO is important to students. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was find a way to make sure that more of our faculty and staff members understood the definition of a ready graduate and why it was even important. And so going past that, maybe you understand the characteristics. So what are the obstacles to advising these ready graduates? Because in the past in school systems, it may be that as far as EPSO or dual enrollment AP classes, those kinds of things, those are sometimes only available to the top 10, 20% of students. And thankfully, across the state, that has been changing, and more and more, we find ready graduates have EPSOs that are, in those CTE classes, they're concentrators, things like that. So the questions that we ask, first of all, are which faculty and staff members are aware of those indicators? And what we found out was that it was mainly school counselors and really just the high school counselors. The middle school, although they knew of them, maybe didn't understand all the implications. And then our CTE teachers knew because we had preached it so hard that, these are the EPSOs and these are the indicators. And then even further than that, what faculty and staff members even know what is offered at the school that meets those indicators. So even as recently as last year, I had teachers from our very building you know, maybe they taught one of the core subjects, say to me about either Jennifer's class or our other TCAT class, I had no idea that we had TCAT here on this campus. And this is the 6th year, I believe, that we have offered those things. Now, we are having a reconstruction period, hopefully this year, but currently we are in that situation where CTE is in one building and everybody else is in the other building. And so we have been referred to in the past as kind of that building, and nobody knew what was going on in that building. So it's been our mission to change that so that, first of all, they see our importance, because we feel like that building is very important, and and then also to make sure that they knew, so that they could talk to their students about the things that are offered here. When our parents made aware of these offerings, and so we forever, like everyone else, have had the 8th grade parent night where you come in and you get your little check sheet of, I need 4 Englishes, and I need 4 maths, and I need 3 sciences, and I need 3 social studies, and my 4th math has to be taken my senior year, and I need 2 foreign language, and let's have a waiver. Oh my goodness gracious. I am in education, and even when you start saying those words, it gets very confusing. And so to make parents aware of all the offerings is overwhelming. It's like drinking from a fire hose when you come to these parent meetings. And that's before you even get to CTE, where I get up there and drop terms like electromechanical technology and EKG technician certification and those kinds of things. It's too much. And so, especially if we're talking about a one-night event. And so we wanted a way to make our students and parents aware of what is available at the high school before they get here, such that they can plan for their own goals and passions. And then how are our students' individual preferences factored in? Do they know what they like? And if so, how does that go into what it is that they want to choose? When we were coming up with this idea, one of the stories we heard was a senior who was in a work-based learning class said, he was talking to the instructor, and she was asking him what it was that he wanted to do. And he said, you know, I'm really looking into being an HVAC technician. I think that would be really cool. And I'm looking forward to taking some of those classes for that when I get out of high school. The sad part of that is that we have HVAC classes right here on campus. He was actually sitting right above that classroom, and that had been here for several years, such that he already could have been certified when he left. But he didn't even know that that was an availability, because he is one of your typical students that may not visit the school counselor every time he walks by, may not be asking those questions about what's available, because how would you know to ask, do we have HVAC classes at a high school? Especially when you maybe you come from a family that thinks of high school traditionally, that it's really just your English and your math and just get through it and then you can get a job when you get out kind of families. And then how do we differentiate advisements for different students? Advisement cannot be cookie cutter, because our kids are not cookie cutter. We have very different kids. And so when we get to go and tour and talk about these programs with other school systems, our director, who is normally with us, shows this video that I wanted to show you guys to kind of show you what we mean when we say the passions of our students.
Wanted another prize, then he came up, then he went up, and then he got that broom, and he didn't know a hook was on it. And then he got it, and that's how we brung him in, and that's how you catch bass. And when their spines like this, and when them look all like that, that means them have been here for like 12 years, or 7, or 8, or 9. And when them catch like a baby catfish, them have to like let it die. Them break the whiskers off. Them break all the spines off where they won't hurt inside of their belly. And their mouth. And this is a female. That's why its belly's so big, because it's a female. And some people say when they's a them can bend up to their gills, and these are their angle fans. Huh? These are his angle fans, and this is his other angle fan. And he kind of looks like a different mudfish, but he's actually a bass, because you can tell because his tail's actually forked a little bit. And he looks like a mudfish because he kind of like looks all muddy by his tail, and mudfish has like circles.
All right, let me get us back to our presentation. So you can see that that student is definitely passionate about his subject matter. Now, it may not be related to English or math, but he knows a lot about what he's talking about. Just not happy that why has he got to put the fish back right this second. And so what we want to do is not kill those passions, not crush those passions for students, but find ways that they can use them in our programs of study and make sure that they know if we have fish catching 101 and that's what they're interested in, that they have that opportunity. So ordinarily when you think about their role of advisement, you think of the school counselor, but that kind of in-depth one-on-one advisement, given the time constraints and the number of students that are assigned to most school counselors, they don't have the time or energy to be able to hit all those students. When you're talking about the other requests on their time, to be able to sit down and have that one-on-one advisement is difficult for all students. Also, the involvement of parents. How easy is it to get a parent in the building when you're a high school? We've not found a great deal of luck with it. Yes, we have parent-teacher conference night. A lot of times in our CTE world, the big winner has 4 parents at the end of the night. That's the most that we get as far as being able to touch base with them. And then the use of data for interest and aptitude. Not only what are you interested in, like our fish child there, but what might you be good at? What are some of the things that some of the data that we can pull to be able to determine that for you? And then course scheduling based on those student goals. A lot of it is, what has to be, you have to take an English 3 your junior year. But outside of that, based on the student goals, where can we log them into classes? Where can we get them plugged in that works for their own individual passions? And so what we decided was to create a team of what we call college and career mentors. We call them CCNs. And their job is to assist in this so that maybe they have more one-on-one time with students. Maybe they can call a parent and talk them through these different things. And so the plan was to train them in multiple areas. First of all, the Ready Graduate Indicators, and then the labor market data for Northwest Tennessee. What's available here? It's funny, in going in to work with 8th graders in career exploration, I ask them, where can you work in Milan, Tennessee? And the big 2 answers are always Walmart and the Chow Wagon, which is our big flagship hamburger restaurant here, because that's where they go, is Walmart and the Chow Wagon. And so anything past that, they're not hanging out in our manufacturing industries, and so you don't know that that's a place where you can get a good paying job. They don't know that all the different levels of jobs that you can have there. Also, our course and industry certifications, we planned that as part of the training, because outside of our high school CTE teachers, as we've said before, once you get past that, nobody really knows what else is offered out here and what industry certifications you can get from those courses. And then we trained a little bit in Google tools so that we would know how to document all of this. The next part of the plan was choosing grade levels that were prime target points to meet with students to kind of plan their high school trajectory. And so what we came up with was 7th, 9th, and 11th. And I'll explain this more in detail in a little bit. But essentially there's a lot going on at 8th and 12th. And so if we can hit them at 7th before they get into the 8th grade, 9th, their first year of high school, 11th before that, everything happens in the senior year. That way we've got several different places to talk to students and advise them, but I'll show you more about that in just a little bit. So we built the training plan. Me as the CTE director built that, and how I did it, it's in a Google Classroom, and each of the modules reference a different area, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Our first meeting we did face-to-face to kind of explain why we were doing this, what was the importance of it. But we sent out a request to interested parties, and at first I just sent it to the instructors and educators in our district, but then we got like other interests, like our social workers said, I want to do that. Can I sign up for that? And then even our accountant at central office said she wanted to do it as well. And so we just sent it, if you're a Milan SSD employee and this is something you're interested in, come on in. And then we wanted to look for a way to pay stipends for these people that give of their time. And so for this particular, for our first year, we did a New Skills for Youth Perkins Reserve Grant to pay stipends for the advisement. Other than that though, this didn't cost anything. All we had to pay for was time for those participants who came to mentor with us. All right, we'll talk about the documents in just a second, but this is what the training looks like. There's 7 modules. And so the first module we did, once we got our college and career mentors signed up, we came together, we talked about an overview of the program, kind of gave the whys around this, which is essentially what I just told you. And then I showed them the labor market data, and some of them, even people who had lived in Milan their whole life, were kind of surprised about the labor market data that's out there for us, because manufacturing's kind of tucked away. Unless you need healthcare, you don't really maybe understand the demand for healthcare in our area. We have some new things coming on board. So Tyson Foods this fall will be coming in, which makes a demand for industrial maintenance that wasn't very well known. We also anticipate a large number of people moving into the area, which will cause construction, healthcare. I mean, you know, all boats are going to rise at that point when more people are moving into the area. So we had a really good discussion about that. And then the rest of it, they were able to do online. So our Ready Graduate indicators, we have listings of high school courses, career interest and aptitude assessment, what that looks like and what it tests. And then basically we just kind of ran scenarios. If a student came to you and said, I would like to do this, this, and this, what are some of the high school courses and industry certifications that you might offer? And that was essentially the training. It took between 10 and 12 hours to train each of the college and career mentors, depending on how much they already knew about it. So Amy and Jennifer are CTE teachers already, and they are also mentors. And so it did not take them 10 hours to train on it, because they already know the labor market data needs and what courses we have and those kinds of things. But some of our teachers who came out of the elementary school, this was their first brush with any of this information. And let me tell you, some of them are parents, some of them talk to parents. I've seen some discussions about this through social media. And so not only does it help if you're thinking about doing a mentoring program like this to enlist the younger teachers, the teachers of younger children rather, but they talk to people and kind of spread the word. And so it's not just CTE fighting for CTE anymore. It becomes elementary teachers fighting for CTE, middle school teachers, administrations in the other building are talking about this. And it's been so interesting to hear parents say at that 8th grade parent night, I'm so excited for my child to come to the high school because I didn't realize that you had ag engineering classes, and now I know they do, and he is super excited about it and can't wait to get there. You know, that's really a big deal for a student to be interested in those kinds of things, especially for the parent to already know that we have that program of study. So this is just a beautiful picture of our first cohort of mentors. So you'll see there's Amy and there's Jennifer. You'll hear from them in a minute. They're behind me. Look at them. Aw. But essentially we had a varied group. It was very, very interesting to hear their different perspectives, and something I can't wait to continue it this year. Hopefully we'll have some some males jump in this year is what my hope is, so that we can hit that niche also, but very excited about our first group. So why 7th, 9th, and 11th? I touched on this a little bit before, but basically 8th graders have a career exploration course that started last year. It's part of the rotation courses. So think about the students who, several of you guys have this, but you have Algebra 1 in the 8th grade. We now offer career exploration as an alternative to Algebra 1. I believe we have a Tennessee history course there as well. So there are several options, and career exploration is one of those options. 7th grade was chosen so that the 7th graders would know about the career exploration course before making that choice. And then they could perhaps understand more about the importance of their core classes. Maybe I'm not interested in science and math right now, but if I know that engineering is something that I'm interested in, maybe the mentor has a chance to talk to them about why it's important to learn math and science. 9th grade was chosen because 9th graders have chosen their area of elective focus. So this allows the mentor to kind of check in and see if it's what they thought it was, if they're experiencing problems with any of their high school courses. This is a good place to check and see. Maybe a 9th grader registered for certain courses and has a certain path, but when they got their schedule, none of that was on there. It's just good to have a mentor right there at the 9th grade level to see if everything's going according to plan. 11th grade was chosen because it allows us to kind of adjust fire and make any changes we need before their senior year, and gives us one last look at that ready graduate indicators to see, do I need another industry certification? Do I need a dual enrollment course? Work-based learning opportunities, are there those things that are available for me? And then seniors, we kind of left alone because seniors at Milan have a college access counselor, so there's a lot going on there as well, a lot of times to touch base. So we hit these kind of odd grades because we found that that was when there was less opportunity to touch base with an adult in the building. So you see the trajectory looks like this. In 7th grade, the college and career mentors, CCNs, meet with the parents and students to discuss their interests, what they might like as far as course interests, possible career goals. The students are made aware of career exploration course, and then other 8th grade activities that are available. So in talking about the 8th grade career exploration, the way we set that up, I used the Tennessee Career Exploration Standards, but the course is set up based on the programs of study that we offer at Milan High School. So it's not just it's not a blanket career exploration course. We do not have any sort of study about oceanography, because in Northwest Tennessee, that's just not a big call in our labor market. And each week focuses on a different program of study. And so these students right here, what they're working on, this is a construction project, and they are making a tower out of coffee straws and jelly beans and toothpicks. And you can see the excitement there that you don't get often out of a worksheet. So it allows them to kind of get out of their seat. What we found was that in the 8th grade, they're still very much, at least in our school system, sitting in their individual rows, working on their individual work. So this gave them a chance at teamwork and to kind of work on some projects together. So this is not all of it, but this is the beginning part of the setup of how it works. Week 1, we just kind of get to know each other. And then we'll go through a week of entrepreneurship, a week of plant science. So you can see how all of our programs of study fit into a week. And what it essentially looks like is the first day, maybe we'll watch some videos or read about the different programs of study. And then we'll usually start with the projects. Sometimes we get to have some visitors. This picture here is a day during our animal science week. We have our FFA president also works at a petting zoo. And so he was able to bring in some friends for the students. I don't have pictures in here, but we had several faculty members who had their picture taken with the baby kangaroo. Lemurs, we had everything. So you can imagine when you roll up into the middle school with lemurs and kangaroos, it definitely gets attention. and it makes it a little bit more interesting than anything we can do with handouts and worksheets. So how we essentially did that, our career exploration works also through a Google Classroom. So I write the content, I talk to the instructors of the programs of study here at the high school and ask for input on what we can do that would make for a good solid activity. And then we send that Google Classroom out to each of the 3 teachers who teach it at the middle school. And then they kind of do it how they want to. So we have 3 very different personalities who are teaching career exploration. So basically they just take my activities and do it how they want to do it. Projects are always more popular, imagine that. But we learned that in our first year very quickly, is that reading an article about the different jobs may be very interesting for me, but maybe not for an 8th grade boy. And so we added more projects the second round. And then the last week or 2, actually, the students get to choose an area of focus for a project that they then get to showcase to a member of the public. So this little picture that you see right here, this is Miss Jennifer. And they are working on, he has a 3D pen that he is showing to his guest judge. This is a lady who works in central office, our instructional supervisor, getting to watch him present. And so I'm going to shut up a second and let you hear from Miss Jennifer Riley. So Jennifer is our resident TCAT instructor. She has years and years and years experience in manufacturing and HR. So imagine her surprise when we say, hey, in the morning, will you run to the middle school and teach some 8th graders about career exploration? And the first day she texted me from class and said, I don't think this is going to work. To which I laughed right out loud. But now I believe that it's her favorite place to be in the building. So I'm gonna hush a second and let her talk about career exploration and what she's learned from her first year teaching.
Good afternoon. I can honestly say that the exploration class is my favorite class to teach now. I've learned a lot teaching that class. I've always dealt with adults or high school kids, and to go to an 8th grade, and I was stunned. I was shocked. But as it turned out, I figured out that they needed that guidance. They needed that person that was already in a high school setting to kind of set them straight and say, okay, this is how we're going to do it. And you're going to get up and you're going to be a part of this, and we're going to do projects and you're going to learn. And before I knew it, they were telling me the projects they wanted to do. And every one of them had something to do with what we were learning. Or, Miss Riley, can you bring us this? Miss Riley, will you ask if we can do this? And Candi made it so that we didn't have to necessarily follow a path. We were able to take their ideas and kind of go with our own. And when they realized that they had a little bit of say in what they were learning, they skyrocketed. They loved it, and very proud of what they were doing. Or, Miss Riley, are you going to be here tomorrow? Because we're not going to get to finish our project. We need to get our project finished. And it was refreshing to see that they really, really wanted to learn that way. And a lot of them didn't realize that they could take a nursing class or a business class or any of that. They had it in their minds that it was all English, math, and science, and they had to sit there and be extremely quiet and not move and very uninterested. But we changed that by allowing them to be themselves and get up and move around. I won't let them sit in their chairs. They don't learn anything sitting in their chairs when it's a project-based class. And we also did, I kind of started on my own where they would have to get up in front of the class one-on-one and make a presentation or talk about something, because in the high school, we have tons of kids that just won't do it. And I got a little bit of grief at first, but now they're, oh, I want to do it, raising their hands and doing that kind of thing. And being able to make a choice in what their future would be, they felt like they had value. And some of those kids don't feel like that at all. And it changed how they look at things and how when they actually come here and to the high school and tour and see what it is, they know what they're talking about. And it made it very, very, very easy for them to choose. And I've had a lot of really positive feedback over the summer and at the tail end of last year. He can't wait to be in your class, or she can't wait to be in the nursing class, or she's made her mind up in the 8th grade that she wants to be a vet, or, you know, things like that. And we're so grateful. The parents are just really, really excited and involved. And it's really changed even us and the way we teach here, and given us an idea of where we need to start. And not necessarily just throw them in a room full of books and say, here you go. You know, they've got some ideas and they've got passion. And my 5th period class last semester had 31 kids in it, and they fought for those classes. And these 8th graders their mothers are texting me now, he can't get in your class. He can't get in your class. He can't get in the CTE building. What are we going to do? And it really opened the parents up to what we are able to do here, and that their kids love it. I wouldn't trade it. I want to do this forever. I want to teach my little 8th graders forever. And that's just the real of it.
Which, to know her is the funniest thing ever, because you would not look at her in her normal day-to-day life and go, 8th grade teacher.
Hey, Candi, this is Pat. You
Yes.
got right at 10 minutes before
Okay.
the end of the presentation. So just let you know, and you've got 5 questions so far.
Okay. So I will go through this quickly so Amy can talk. Some of you have heard this before. We do field trips called Choose Your Own Career Adventure at the end of 8th grade, where essentially they pick which career they want to follow up on, and they get a field trip in that area. This is from the criminal justice field trip last year. If you would like more information on that, just email me or text me, or you can follow one of our social media followings, and we can talk about that. This is a sample itinerary of those trips. We go to one educational institution and then at least 2 businesses in that area, so students can take a look at that. All right, so 7th grade, we meet with parents. 8th grade, career exploration, and then they have their parent night. 9th grade, the students have chosen their elective focus. They've been able to start talking about CTSOs, and the CCNs can help to make sure that they have what they need to continue on. So differentiating the EPSO options is something else that we have become very serious about. We want to, under no circumstances, make it such that only the top 20% of students have access to EPSOs. So our TCAT programs offered on our campus, you can begin your freshman year in those programs. So as soon as you get here, you can get started. Industry certifications begin with OSHA 10. We are working such that all of our level 1, level 2 students will have OSHA 10. Why is that important to us? Because when you have a student who has an IEP or a 504 who immediately freshman year is successful in receiving an OSHA 10 certification, something happens with their self-esteem, something happens with their sense of belonging. They feel like CTE is where they need to be. I've taken, I don't know how many pictures in front of our industry certification wall of a student with a severe IEP who's passed an OSHA 10 certification, holding that certification as proud as possible. It changes our culture. And thankfully, OSHA is something that our labor, our facilities are very interested in. Everybody, once I say OSHA, is like, oh, I didn't realize you did that. But that's really not the reason we do it. Yes, I want to get them those certifications, but also I want to give those students that sense of pride. Real quickly, I'll say another thing we do is real skills. Part of our bell ringers in the morning is the stuff that you don't hit anywhere else in the world. So I send those out. Once again, if you want some examples of those, if you will email me, I will get you those. But I'm going to roll through this. 11th grade, our mentors meet with them to kind of talk about, do you have everything that you need to be a ready graduate indicator? And so I'm going to slide it over to Miss Amy, newly married Watson. She is our health science instructor and an active RN. She was one of our mentors this last year to talk about her experiences with mentoring.
So when I found
when we were mentoring, most of these students have one of three goals. The first one is that they want to get out of Milan, Tennessee. You're going to find out that most of your students are doing everything that they can to get away from their parents, and they think that the grass is greener. So what we have to do is we have to encourage them to want to come back here, you know, because nurses are forever going to be needed. CNAs are forever going to be needed. The second thing, they start looking for the money. And it doesn't matter if you have a parent sitting there with them or you have just the student, they start looking for the money. And the third thing is, how long do I have to be in school? So you start preaching these EPSOs. You start saying you can take your CNA certification. That's going to get you here. If you decide to go to TCAT and do the LPN, they give credit for this. They give credit for your CNA training. They give life credit. If you take 6 science classes in the high school, then you are alleviating some of that debt and some of that burden going into college. So we're able to encourage them to do this. We also encourage them to get these certifications because some of our students have no support. They will go out into the next realm attempting to become a nurse. They will have no familial support. They will be paying for apartments by themselves. They will be paying for cars. They will be paying for their school by themselves. So we help them do all of this. And plus the fact it makes them feel better to know that instead of working at McDonald's, they can go work for $15 an hour as a CNA, or $11 an hour as a certified patient care technician, or even $12 as an EKG tech. We also try to encourage the students to bring their personality to the table. You may have some kids that are sitting there and they don't know what they want to do. They don't know how they're going to do it, but you can find out what their aptitudes are. If someone says that they like video games, then you can say, let's look into computer programming. We can pull the industry data. This is something that will be important. This is something that we need to do. And you can incorporate that. And the parents respond better to that when you're able to get a parent here, because you know their child at that point. And these students, once you make this connection and this relationship, they will come back to you and they'll say, I'm not doing well in science. And you say, we're going to get you back in, and you fire that email off to Mr. Akrid in the biology department. They meet up before school and they improve that. Some of my most at-risk kids, I followed back up with them, even during Corona. How are you doing? You need to do this work to increase your likelihood of passing, because they're at risk. And a lot of times that relationship is enough to help them keep moving forward. So it was a very positive thing for me.
Thank you. All right, Pat, at this point, I'm going to put up my email address, and if you will shoot us some questions, we will try to get as many as possible answered. If we don't get them answered, my email address is right here, so just email me and I will take it from there.
Okay. Question number 1 from Steve Plale. How are you thinking about career advisement this year and moving forward in post-COVID?
Oh my goodness. Well, Governor Plale, we are continuing on. One of the things that happened was there were so many phone calls from our instructors during COVID that we kind of had to take a back seat, because they were already getting phone calls from teachers because we went all in on the making sure kids were good at home. And so we have just a touch of catch up to do. We were talking about that earlier. Some students, we may need to touch base with them and see if there's a class they need to retake in order to be successful. We definitely have some students who did not get to finish their industry certifications, and so we're trying to make plans for that. So advisement may even reach out to, it already has reached out to kids that graduated, that are calling back and being like, hey, I didn't get my EKG certification. Will you help me still pick that up? So one of the things that we have done is definitely made sure that, oh, you graduated, you're not a bulldog anymore. That doesn't happen. Once a bulldog, always a bulldog.
Okay, question number 2, Justin Kreis. I know you all use some new skills for youth grant money for this. How much time/money would a district need to replicate this model? And there are 3 questions after that still.
Okay, we did, every teacher got 25 students assigned to them, and for each parent meeting they had, they got $40. So based on how many you do, how many kids you have, you might need to do the math on that one. But that worked well because the amount of pre-work and also follow-up, we thought $40 was a good good number for each student that we had there.
Okay, third question from Terry Collins. Is career exploration an 8th grade course or 9th grade?
8th grade here. You can
Yes.
teach it in either, in the world of CTE, you can teach it in either one, but we chose to do it in the 8th grade so they can go ahead and get started with CTE classes in the 9th grade.
Okay, next question is from Byron Booker. Is this opportunity an expansion of the middle school CTE enrichment Fridays you presented last year? It looks like a progressive and innovative development of CE.
Yes, it is. And wow, that's awesome. Yes, Future Fridays worked so well that the principal said, you know what, we need to make this available to more people. The way that we will continue that this next year, and COVID's actually going to help, is that we're going to have a virtual opportunity for it for the kids that maybe don't have time to sign up for in-class. There is going to be a virtual option for that as well.
Okay, and last question from Steve Plale again. Is Milan doing anything with a work ethic distinction or diploma like some of the Middle and East Tennessee districts?
Yes. So we have been work ethic school through our Gibson County workforce development. The thing that we're going to do this year, though, is drop it back and begin in the 8th grade to work on work ethics, so that it's not just something your senior year, hey, did you do this? It's something that we can actually start in the 8th grade for sure. Hopefully even the 7th, you know, as low as we can get it, the better off we'll be towards the end. Thank you, Mr. Plale.
Okay, that was all of our questions, and we are right at time. I will go ahead and give the keyword out for this session. It is imagine, with a capital I, imagine. And I want to thank all the attendees for being here. And just a reminder, the session has been recorded and will be available on the recorded sessions tab on the site by the end of today. And thanks to Candi, Christina, and Jennifer for their presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes.